Hello, everybody. So sorry to be having technical difficulties over here. We're missing our moderator, Patty Wright from Palo Alto, but maybe she'll join us. Love her so much. Patty's been a huge influencer in diversity and inclusion at Palo Alto. And Vandana will be back any second, one of our fellow sister co-founders of group supporting women, which is why we're here to talk. We've brought all our founders together, and there's plenty more. We actually could, what's really cool is I was counting, I think there's about 11 of us. And so I was thinking next day of security that we'll make sure that all of us and somehow are doing something at one time together. Maybe it's a 2-hour panel. There she is. Maybe it's a 2-hour panel. Who knows? But that's what we're here to do today, everybody. We've got founders of organizations here in the U.S. and also international. Vandana's with us from India to share our stories and give our thoughts on what's happening for women in security. So on that note, I'm going to ask every one of us to introduce ourselves. And then we're going to dive into sort of what was the moment that that made you found an organization as a fellow founder. I know how much work it is. And once you put that stick in the ground, you can't go back, right? So not saying that we wanted to, but there's a real pressure to make it be effective. So we'll get into those stories next. So it's great to be here with you all. I'm Deidre Diamond, founder and CEO of Secure Diversity, as well as CyberSN. This is an extremely important conversation for me. So I would like to see more founders and more leaders for sure. So on that note, I'll move to Tanisha. Tanisha, introduce yourself and sorry. I've spoken all day today. Somehow my words are now jumbling themselves. Tanisha, please introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So hi, I am Tanisha Martin. I'm the executive director for Black Girls Hack. So Black Girls Hack is a relatively new nonprofit that we have members throughout the United States and some places internationally. We offer training and workshops and education in cybersecurity to try to help prepare the next generation of cybersecurity professionals to be able to enter the workforce. So I'm excited to be here with the other ladies, and I look forward to talking all things security.
Oh, yay. So international now, Tanisha. Yay. What countries?
Yeah. So we've got some folks from Germany and Africa at this point. So, but we are trying to, literally take over the world. We are on a course for world domination. So I can't wait till we can say, we've got X number of countries, because we are expanding so quickly. And I'm very excited, just the level of interest and the number of people who are trying to get into cybersecurity and are trying to, explore everything that there is out there for them. So yeah. I'm excited.
Well, thank you for your service. Yeah, I am too. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that expansion. Soledad, share with us. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Soledad Toledano. I'm a cybersecurity engineer at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab since 2011. And before that, I used to be a software developer. So back in around 2014, I decided to found Girls Can Hack, an organization to help women, or actually to put women close to the world of cybersecurity, which at that point, there was absolutely no women around. There was no groups that were doing this kind of job. This was a completely unknown field for society and also, but most importantly, for women. So I thought that women were missing out. And I'm very happy that now in 2021, I can see a lot of organizations doing this type of work. It's awesome. And I think that the more the merrier, and that we should work together like Tanisha said, like to conquer the world. So thank you for inviting me here and let me share the story.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. And also, I echo your sentiments. We are one world. We are one sisterhood, one humanity, and we have to be global, all of us together. It's so awesome. And Vandana, speaking of which, the first I met outside of the U.S., creating a women's group about 4 or 5 years ago now that we met, and talk to us. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you so much, Deidre. It's a pleasure to be part of Day of Security. This is something which is very close to my heart. Like, I've been hearing about it, and speaking at the stage is such an honor, because I wanted to speak at the stage for a very long time. And about the community that I'm part of Infosec Girls and Infosec Kids. Infosec Girls was started with the motive to bring more women participation at the meetups. But then over the years, the motive grew, where we started giving trainings, giving sponsorship for the conferences, training at the colleges, training for students. And then we thought, because a lot of parents were asking that, what about for kids? Because the content should be curated for the kids. So we started Infosec Kids last year in Jan 2020. And we thought, let's create something for the kids. And right now we are running a campaign called 100 Days of Infosec. So there are 100 leaders in Infosec who are actually giving advice to the kids who are aged between 5 to 13. And we are coming up with some more initiative around the knowledge for the kids as well as their parents, because sometimes kids are getting the knowledge, but parents are not aware in what situation exactly what needs to be done. So it's very, very important for the parents to also know if something goes wrong, how to exactly deal with that.
Oh my gosh, how wonderful getting to the younger generation. I mean, we all want to. I'm so happy that you have, and we can join you on that endeavor, as you and I have talked about, because as we're going to get into, one of the questions I'd like us all to sort of speak about is, what is this advancing? And, for me, it's like, unless we go down to the kid level, if you will, pre-18, we're not going to advance as quick as we want to advance. So Vandana, that's just so awesome. I am so happy that you're building and have built this program, and we want to hear more about it. So from that note, I know some of us touched upon sort of what we're doing, but what was the exact moment? Like, I'm going to share mine, and then I want to hear from you. Like, what was the moment you're like, I have to do something? Because at the end of the day, that's what happened to all of us. There was a moment where we said, I got to get involved, because I can't just sit by the sidelines. And for me, I was at RSA. It was the year after I founded CyberSN, and I had come out in the public. I had, worked for 2 serial entrepreneurs for 21 years, super insulated in our own companies, and we had all genders and super inclusive. And I didn't realize I wasn't woke. Literally, I grew up in Irvine, California. Yeah, my father's Palestinian, but I look white. My blah, 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 blah. I wasn't very woke. Okay. And so all of a sudden I'm out here, supporting my company, and I'm realizing that I represent the 1% of, founding technical, CEOs of a tech company. And RSA at the same time started talking about booth babes, and started, bringing that topic to the table. They literally wrote the word booth babes in their publication and started talking about it. I'd never even heard the term or thought about it. But meanwhile, I'm head of sales at Rapid7. So it instantly triggered me, like, oh my gosh, that is what we're doing with women, we're still using them as sexual objects. Meanwhile, I've got this staffing firm where I'm like seeing all this gap in jobs in cyber. My nieces and nephews are graduating and they don't know anything about these jobs. And I'm like, So next year, fast forward, I went to RSA and it was still happening. And that's when I said, that's it. I'm going to found what we called Brain Babes before Secure Diversity, which is Brain Babe, not an S, which meant let's train women. Let's not just treat them as babes. And so initially we were Brain Babes, and we started staffing conferences like RSA with students of all genders to stop also the gender inequality of, why are they only women? Why are booth babes only women? So that's how it started, and it's certainly advanced. It's been almost 5 years now into lots of different things that we do for the community, and Day of Security is certainly one of them. But that was my moment where I just was like, what? I got to do something about this. This is ridiculous. These poor young women they're not even told what products they're selling or what services. They're just standing there to scan and treated terribly, and probably have college and did have college degrees. I'm like, what are we doing? We need these women. So that's what happened for me. And I haven't looked back. In fact, I can't wait to do more. And really for me, doing more is connecting all of us together so that we can work together. So that was my moment. Tanisha, what was your moment where you're like, yeah, no more. I got to do something about this?
So a couple of years ago, I started looking for that were 100% in cybersecurity, no more, like kind of straddling the fence. And, I was applying everywhere, anything back. And just a little background about me. I've got, several master's degrees. I think I'm up to 5 at this point. I've got certifications. I've got, over 15 years of work experience. And, when I was applying, it was either like, you're way too qualified or you're not qualified enough, right? So I was having a hard time, getting people to call me back. And I realized that, if I was having these troubles with my education or background or my, my work experience, that I imagine the people who were just entering the field were having, that much more issues, right? So I started looking at some of the pain points that, people were having. So, even though I had done my degrees, there wasn't much in the way of like hands-on training. You go through an entire, program and you're not like actually ever touching a box. You're never actually doing, an Nmap scan, for example, right? So like, I actually did my first National Cyber League, and that was one of the first times that I had done a capture competition. And, I realized that there are not a lot of people, especially, Black women who are in this field, going to ShmooCon, security conferences. It's just like you don't see a lot of people. So for me, I said, hey, I'm going to start an Instagram page, and it was just supposed to be, I'm going to share resources. We're going to talk about, training that we can do to try to increase the level of hands-on skills and to get people prepared to get into cybersecurity. And from there, it definitely grew, so that we started doing workshops, and, we founded it as a nonprofit in last year. And, we actually just got our 501c3. But, I realized as I started talking to people that there are literally, tons of people. I think we're up to maybe like 2,000 followers on some of our social media platforms, and most of them are, 70% of them are women, mostly Black women like me who are trying to get into cybersecurity or trying to, navigate the field of cybersecurity and are not finding themselves able to, so they need hands-on training. They need certifications. They need, some of the things that, we're offering in order to be able to next level or get, transition from another industry into cybersecurity. So, that was for me, like, hey, there's so many people out there who are just like me. And we've really formed, a close-knit tribe of hacking women. And I absolutely love it. We're teaching each other, and like I'll tell them all the time, I don't know everything, but what I do know, I'm willing to share with you because I want to, bring up a whole generation of cyber professionals that look like me, so that the K through 12 population, like Vandana was talking about, will be able to see representation. They'll be able to see brown faces, women who are in the ethical hacking space, that are in the penetration testing cybersecurity space, and know that that's something that they can do too. So that was it for me. It was just really based off of my own frustrations.
Yes. And you're so correct in terms of getting a job, which, brings us into the careers of cybersecurity, which is the most a powerful place to be. Money, job security. When COVID hit, security jobs went up. Nothing, bad happened, right? And so watching people not be able to get in with college degrees, and like you said, multiple masters, it drives me crazy every day. It's it's that catch up. It's, I started in the early 90s. And so when IT kind of hit the world, it was the same thing. Schools weren't keeping up with the hands-on experience that was needed. And that gap of time that it took was much less than we're dealing with now because of how vast cybersecurity is. Like, what do you teach? What part of, security? It's so massive. And so, giving that hands-on experience to even know what these tools are and what they do is, and get their hands on them, and CTS is like, with that, they'll get jobs. you know? And so thank you for doing, yes, it's so special, so awesome. Love it. Love, love, love. Soledad, what was the moment? What was the moment?
Well, I don't even know where to start. Like, I think I'm older than you folks here, so oh my God. But everything that you're saying resonates with me a lot. So I hear you and I share everything you're saying. But I think it was, for me, there was one moment that was the turning point and an aha moment. And when I decided to found Girls Can Hack, and that was my manager at the time that we were having a conversation, and at some point, probably out of frustration, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I said something like, "Well, I'm the only woman around," and he said, "No, you're not the only woman. You're the first one," and that froze me. Because I never actually, and that was after at least 4 years working in the same position, I obviously was very conscious that there was no women around, but that was my whole life. At some point I was like blind to it because I was used to, but I never, thought that there was no other woman before me. And that made me really sad, and that made me decide I had to do something, because otherwise nobody's going to do it, right? Nobody was going to do it, and nobody actually cared about it. So that's why I decided to found Girls Can Hack, to give visibility to the cybersecurity field and try to attract women to the field, which was such a huge effort at the time. You cannot imagine, right? Starting with things like people thought I was like a crazy person talking about things that nobody understood, right? And then what I was trying to say every single time was, look at me. I mean, I'm doing the job. If I can do it, then like everybody can. I'm not that special. I'm just a computer scientist that I happen to like this field very much. But I don't have 100 degrees. I just do what I do and I like it. And I promise everybody that it's super exciting and it's super dynamic and it's very, very fun. And at that point of my life, I already started to realize that cybersecurity was going to be huge and was already in the background of technology, and it was controlling actually so many aspects of life, right? And every single aspect of technology, controlling it in a bad way because of the lack of security, right? So I was very worried about that, and I was worried mostly about the fact that women were missing out again in something that was going to be historical, right? So history is in the making, and the history is being made again without women. So that's was my thought or my line of thought when I decided to found Girls Can Hack, and we keep on going.
Yeah, we need you to keep on going, and we need it for ourselves too, right? It's hard to feel successful. I struggle with enjoying my success, knowing how many people don't have the opportunities to have an equal life. And that's hard. And so we're all going to keep going, and we will create the change. And I'm just so impressed with your manager, right? Like that phrase, that was the moment, like it stopped your body. Like, yeah, right. I'm the first, I got to keep this door open. And how awesome is that to have that experience? And was it a man or a woman, by the way?
Was a man.
Yeah. And my mentors were men too. And I've had women mentors too, don't get me wrong, but it started with men. And we're so lucky to have that. And yet we don't want to base it on luck anymore, right? Like these statistics are too about luck. And Soledad, I'm super excited about your keynote close today. I mean, Soledad's a quantum security science.
Not quantum.
I mean, say what am I confusing with?
Maybe supercomputing.
Yes. Thank you. Better.
Yeah. I work at
a sales pitch, and you can't bring the sales out of me.
So I have a keynote later. It's a little bit technical, and I was talking to Deidre that I'm gonna change it a little bit and to be a little bit more personal. Yeah. So let's see if I have time. Yeah. But it's super interesting about the past, the present, and the future of cybersecurity.
We'll love it, I'm sure. I can't wait. I will be there. All right, Vandana, what was the moment? What happened?
Sure. So Infosec Girls was started in 2014. I was part of it. We were doing some events. Everything was going great. Then I had to go for maternity in 2015, I took a break from everything, literally everything except the office. Then when I came back, I saw that nothing was working, like no meets, nothing was. So I checked with other girls and they were not ready to take up. So that came a moment where one of my mentors asked that, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to take the lead on it? Do you want to take it forward, or you just want to leave it here? Or like what is there in your mind? What do you want to do with it? So that was the moment where I picked it up. So I would say that it's like Infosec Girls 2.0, which we picked up and thought it should not be a one person. Like it's not a one person job, or it cannot be done by one person, 2 people, or 3 people, not 4 people, but it has to have an army around it. Yes. And like we as women have, like I truly believe that we as women have abundance of options, and we have like a growth mindset. We can take step forward into growth, and we can create opportunities. That's what I truly believe in, and that's how it struck. We started with one chapter, Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi. Now we have over 20 chapters, like 6 chapters. I literally need to update on the website. This totally running, and if people are working on it. So it gives me so much of happiness that we all are together in this. We have grown the community from just 1, 2, 3 people to like over 10,000 now. We have trained so many people. And if I talk about that one moment, my mentor said that either you take it up or leave it. It's on you. What do you want to do with that?
Right. Yeah, that's a burden.
Yeah.
How special, Vandana. I love that you use women are growth opportunities, meaning that we're connected to growth. I've recently, I think I shared this with you, Vandana Shakti, who's a PhD physicist and energy specialist, who's been speaking on ecofeminism and really asking society to recognize that women, we're connected to growth at birthing, right? And is growth. And so, powerful to hear you recognize that that's how we're connected as sisters. We have that connection. And so I love it. And by the way, you're raising children at the same time of doing all this. You are such a rock star. And not to say that anybody else isn't. I just happen to know that Vandana has little ones and she's still doing all of this, and more than one. And so thank you for what you're doing. And I'm thankful that this person put that burden on you, because you chose the path of not making it a burden, because if you would have said no, you probably would be not feeling so good, right? As time went on, or restarted it anyways. But so let's share with everybody, what's now that we've gotten, the moment we did what we're doing, we're all really bringing lots of value to our communities, and we're going to work more and more closely together. That's my commitment to us all. But what's the number one challenges each of you are facing? what's number one? What's number two? Like, what's going on? You know, you're out there, you have these programs, you're giving. What would you say is number one? And then share any problems you want to share that you have, because those are the obstacles we got to knock out of the way and share with the world to help us, right? So what's the number one challenge of really, providing for the community that you're seeking to provide? And a challenge doesn't have to be bad. Tanisha, you want to go first?
Absolutely. So I'd say that the number one challenge for us is definitely financial. And I'd say that is both for, Black Girls Hack as an organization, and also the people help. And the reason being is that, as much as we can do, a lot of things that are for free, we can get, free textbooks, we can get free, trainings, we can get free, hands-on labs, for example. But there's so many financial costs, for a career in cybersecurity. So for example, like, some of the certifications, entry-level certifications are between hundreds and thousands of dollars. Okay. And that's just to take the certifications themselves, not to mention the time investment that you have to put into studying for those, and some people, like Vandana, have families, in addition to, maybe working full-time jobs, and they're trying to, advance their career. So, in addition to, try to provide for housing and, to make sure that we're eating in the middle of a pandemic, how are you supposed to come up with, $2,000 for these certifications that are the minimum requirements for you to be able to get a job? And if you wanted to do, for example, formalized training, through the vendors that offer them, those are sometimes, $2,000-3,000, thousands of dollars, which is really cost prohibitive to a lot of the people, So one of the things that we're trying to do as an organization is to help give them the hands-on training. We have the study groups for, a lot of the entry-level certifications that people are needing, as well as the hands-on training. And we're trying to partner with vendors that are offering the certifications and saying, hey, can you give us a discount or can you give these certifications for free, so that we can reduce the financial barrier as one of the barriers to entry. Let them just focus the time that it to actually have to study for the things, let that be their biggest problem, trying to make the time for it, as opposed to, have to make the time and come up with thousands of dollars that's probably going to be diverted from, car payments, house payments, everything else. So, for us, like I said, both as individuals and then as an organization, our biggest challenge is definitely financial, because we need help. The people that I'm targeting, they need help, so that they can, get in. I want them to have the equal footing as everyone else in the industries, people who have had the benefit of being able to go to, 4-year colleges, or, some of the privileges that I've had, some of those folks don't have that, so I want to, as much as possible, try to even the playing field and to at least reduce the financial barriers to entry for the people who are trying to get into cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous that there's a cost to knowledge. It's gross. It's super gross. And so we gotta solve this. A couple of things come to my mind. I'd love to know what you're thinking, Tanisha, and everybody, which is, okay, so one, there's what we have to deal with right now. So what does it cost to get an entry-level person enough certs or trainings to get a job? I would love to hear all of your opinions, because again, people don't hire my firm to hire entry level. They don't at all. So I don't really know that data, and I'd love to hear that. And then number two, can we get around it? Can we get around the certs? Can we get around the education? Because one world we have to play in, because that's what's there. But then how can we stop the certifications needing to be so important? Is there anything there? And Tanisha, finish that question I have for you. Have you been able to put a number to this, so to speak, a financial number?
Absolutely.
What is it?
So like a Security Plus certification is, which is a foundation level certification to get a job in security, right? In cybersecurity, $370, right? The Certified Ethical Hacker, which is the entry level, pretty much certification that you need to do something red team, like penetration testing or ethical hacking, $1,200, right? And that's just for the certifications themselves, right? If you wanted to take, not the classes, just the certifications, OSCP, right? OSCP, which is like more of a mid-level, intermediate level certification in the ethical hacking penetration testing space, that's, I think, $800 or $900, right? So we're talking that if someone wanted to, at least have some of the requirements for a junior penetration test that I've seen recently, they say, hey, we want you to have a CEH, the Security Plus, and maybe an OSCP. We're talking $2,000 to $3,000 just right there. Okay, not to mention, I've seen jobs that are for junior positions that want you to have an entire CISSP, which takes 5 years plus a sponsor. Not to mention the fact that it costs money, both in terms of the studying and the certification itself, which is, almost $1,000. So, it's really, I think, a problem because, we have a lot of people who are interested in cybersecurity. We have people who, have skills that they want to use within the cybersecurity industry, as with your work that you've done with the, is it CyberSN? Did I put that? Yeah. So that there's so many different industries within cybersecurity, right? We need financial people, we need marketing people, we need, legal people, you know what I'm saying? Like we need all of the different people. So we have all of these people who are trying to switch careers, switch industries and get into cybersecurity. We need those people. You need salespeople within cybersecurity as well, so like but in order for them to get these certifications, there's a large financial cost, So like you're saying that there's a shortage. We say that there's 500,000, jobs that are open in North America for cybersecurity. We say that there's 0% unemployment in cybersecurity. How are we creating a pipeline to get these people who are trying to get into these positions actually in there? And why is it costing, $5,000 for them to get there? I want to try to, reduce some of those barriers and create a pipeline, work with the industry leaders so that we can have, for example, like the hundreds of people who are in my organization, and there's thousands of, just the other organizations that are in this, chat right now, that are looking for jobs, entry-level jobs or internships, for example, put your money where your mouth. A pipeline, a means for us to get these people, hired and trained. So that we can have, more diversity in cyber. Women are 51% of, society, but, it looks something like maybe 20%, of women in cybersecurity right now. So, that's definitely something that we need to change.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because I do know what the landscape of organizations and jobs look like, and the reality is there is no succession planning. Maybe 10% of the organizations have succession planning within cyber teams, and so they can't absorb entry level unless they already have some experience, and now that's no longer entry level. And so the term entry level comes with actually having hands-on experience now. And that's why I was wondering, since you folks are giving this hands-on experience, can we get around the certs? And Tanisha, based on what you're saying, I'm hearing that we probably can't, because you wouldn't be going out and striking these partnerships, or maybe you with these folks, if you thought that you could get around it, right? And so that's something for all of us to keep thinking about.
Yeah, we've met with organizations who, have said that they hire entry-level people, like they hire people who are, not have these requirements, that you see on these job requisitions, and they'll train them and they'll work with them and they'll allow them to grow with an organization. And I think that more organizations should do that. But when you look at the job requisitions, there's a large, I think, just from, your work with your CyberSN, that there is, such a gap between what HR people are looking for and what is actually making it out to us. We shouldn't be seeing a junior level position that's asking for a CISSP. We shouldn't be seeing a junior level penetration testing that's asking for, a Security Plus, a CEH, and an OSCP. Like that shouldn't be the case. You can demonstrate your skills. And I've seen a lot of organizations, for example, that give you like a technical assessment that allows you to prove what you have. But, in order to get there, you've got to meet whatever check boxes that they have, like why not we put out, like, for example, like a capture the flag type competition. There's a technical assessment that allows people to come in, some of those people who may not have education or certifications, and let the cream rise to the top. The best of the people who, doing that type of competition, let them, for your companies, train them, because they've shown you that they have the technical aptitude, but maybe not the certifications, or maybe not the other things, like I said, create pipelines for people to be able to get jobs. Cybersecurity. I'm not saying, reduce your standards. I'm saying let people have the opportunity to, level the playing fields that society in some cases has made very much uneven even for women and, specifically people of color, Black people.
Yeah, without a doubt, specifically. Vandana, same thing going on in India in terms of certs being a part of entry level. It is great.
I think this is something which is part and parcel of the whole job series, wherein you have to have some certifications to get a job. So what I've been seeing lately, and as part of the discussions where people say, you need to know AppSec, you need to know cybersecurity, you need to know this, that. You also need to know DevOps. Okay, you need to know a bit of coding. And then you need to have some kind of certification as well. So like that's a checklist that is going one by one. But after that, it's just what I feel is that I think right now there is a big gap in that section.
Yeah.
So first, when we are talking about a job description, so somebody needs to sit and explain it to the HR that, okay, this is the thing, because they will only go by the list and we can't blame them.
Right.
I've truly understood because I've very closely worked with them.
Yeah.
So I think we need to make them understand that not all the requirements will be met. And especially if it's a beginner, do you think that they can meet? Like if they have all those things, it would not be a beginner's level job. Now, so that's one thing. And another thing comes is like education, like we were talking about trainings. And now certification is just a gatekeeper, in my perception.
Yeah.
You need to have, but if you're gaining some knowledge from it, then it's going to be really helpful. I've done a quite bit of certifications. It's just that was a spree that I was on. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I just wanted to do it because I wanted to gain knowledge, not because I wanted to showcase it on my CV.
Yeah.
So that's how I all started with it. But now there are so many free trainings that are there. And I would say that when I started my first training at OWASP conference, I literally actually pushed them for the free training, that we need to have some kind of free training so that we can fill the gap. Like we say, we talk about diversity, we talk about women in AppSec, we talk about diversity in information security. So we should have something. So that's how it all started. And we've been giving this free trainings. And I feel that I think some organization, let's say, be it any certification authority, when they are giving these certifications for so much cost, so they can donate some certifications to some of the organizations where they can be leveraged for the knowledge. That's one point. Or we can have something wherein we can give free trainings at conferences, and maybe diverse candidates can get a certificate that you've been trained on this, so that they can add it as part of the CV. It might not be like a CISSP, but some certification wherein they can say that I've been trained on that and I'm equally capable enough to do this thing.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vandana. Why don't we create our own certifications? But they're free.
Yeah.
And we're the teachers and they have value. So if we're mimicking content, if you will, or even better content, then that's the way. Because all I'm still thinking is, how do we get around this? This is like, money isn't just going to poof come into the air to solve this enough. And we have to remove that financial barrier. So let's create our own certs. All EQ certs from Day of Security or from Secure Diversity, and each of you create your certs, and we document the process of what it takes to get it and what they're learning and what their knowledge is, and we totally change this game. My gosh, every time
I mean.
Yeah, right? Yeah, academies that are free and they're get you in. You get jobs from them. Yeah. It's not going to change on the succession planning side, ladies. I can tell you, I'm 7 years deep in this, and every year I think, oh, well, this has got to be the year security's getting more. No, these teams are tiny. Security teams, it blew my mind to see the differences the size of a security team versus IT. Or even software. So I don't think there's any other way than this. And I think if we get our other sisters together and we come up with making sure that our certs are covering, making sure that we're covering different things, we could, together collectively change this barrier game.
Yeah. And if I add on to it, that now we are creating a cert, but there's another point is that it's going to fill the jobs which are unfilled, which people say that jobs are unfilled. And And there is another perception that is there, that when you know how to hack, then only, it's like when you know how to break things, then only you can be a hacker or you can be a security person. So I think we have to change that mindset, because there are so many skills that are needed to be part of cybersecurity. You need to be a good report writer. You need to be a good project manager. If you don't have those skills, I think it's not surviving. If we don't have those people who are supporting cybersecurity, it can never be managed. Once you keep breaking things, no, it's not going to work. It needs all of the people.
Right. And so to that note, I really want each of you, when you're thinking about this, think about the people that are in the jobs that these people would come support. Like, what tasks and what projects can immediately be taken off their desk? Because that's the sell to the management to hire these people, that if they know that these tasks are going to be taken off their desk, and then this value will come, meaning this person now can go focus on these other tasks and projects. That's the name of the game. Because what happens, and I see it all day long, like in supporting, practitioners with experience trying to get head count, and part of it is so that they can stay, interested in working at the company so that they don't burn out. And the other part is so that they can do things that are more beneficial for the company and not get bogged down in these other things. But what are these other things? Like, we have to clearly define them in order to get around this financial barrier to hiring, quote, entry level too. So there's the barrier to have enough experience and to get even to the job. And then there's the, why would we hire you? What job are you going to do? Because as you said, Vandana, these job descriptions, people don't even know, right? So I love that this is what we're getting to. We need to think about, what can we take off of these seniors' plates and how quickly, such that they can provide more value, or mid-level people, or whoever it is. It really comes down to that, making that kind of a match to get the buyer, if you will, to invest.
So I will add something to this conversation besides the financial wall that everybody face. Apparently that is here. So I think there's one more step ahead, after that even, and it's the way cybersecurity is hiring, right? So sometimes it doesn't matter that you have the certifications, that you don't have them. It doesn't matter. The way that the cybersecurity world is hiring, in my opinion, is straight up wrong. It doesn't allow for people like us to get in, period. It doesn't allow for people that look like us to be higher on potential, right? So we, from the get-go, we don't stand a chance.
Right, like the conscious and unconscious biases that are already there because it's men that are doing the hiring.
And I know this because of my experience and because of how many years did I have to lobby, and how much did I have to put effort on having at least another woman in my team. And you cannot imagine to the extent of conversations I had to have, and when for me was the obvious choice, and I could see the potential right off the bat, and it turned out to be awesome and great, and the good fit and the super cybersecurity mindset and everything. But that's super difficult of a barrier to pass, and it's actually I think it's even more important, if I can say, than the financial one.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is that we can get there too, and all those financial barriers somehow get through it, and then get there and be treated differently, which is definitely. Yeah. Go ahead, Tanisha.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think kind of to what Soledad is saying, is that we need to hold these organizations accountable. The same way that we have, for example, year after year sales numbers that are published and are made available to the public, right? You see those sales, you see like same store, you see those kind of statistics that are, at the granular level that are looking at, the financial health of an organization. But, I think we need similar types of statistics to look at the diversity and equality type initiatives as well. How are you looking as far as your numbers year over year for hiring diversity? Are you still hiring, 80, 90% men? What are the racial makeups of the people that you're hiring? Like take a look, and for people who are saying, hey, we're trying to make an effort to be more diversity and inclusion friendly, actually show the numbers for that, show what that actually looks like. People try to act like, if they have more diversity in their numbers, that that's going to lower the quality, or so many other things, crazy things that I've heard. But really, I think if we hold these companies,
which is actually so not. I'm sorry. I think there's a delay, Tanisha. I was going to say,
excited.
It comes later. I was going to say that it's not. It's very obvious that that's not the right thing to do, and it's not good for your organization. I mean, if you get people that actually are have a great potential, especially people in minorities, which, hey, they are eager to work on that field that for them or for us it's been so difficult to get in. And you have that passion, that people, that willingness to work, plus the potential, and you train that people also to in a way that is going to fit your organization 100%. I mean, I only see advantages of that. So for me, it's kind of like super difficult to understand why there's not a shift to that type of thinking.
Well, a couple of things. Go ahead, Tanisha. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, absolutely, because if you think about it, there's nothing but advantage when you see more diversity, more women in information security, especially like when you look at artificial intelligence and machine learning. We see these systems that have been shown to have bias for brown faces, for people who are darker complexions, and these systems are learning based on. So if the people who are developing these algorithms, the people who are designing these systems are all, white males, then, what's going to be learned? There's going to be some inherent bias in that. So when you get more women in the room, you get more diversity in the room, as a result, you have, systems that are more diverse and that are not exhibiting these biases, which, we see in so many places. For example, in hiring, like when you have to do an interview to answer questions to help screen that, whittle down the amount of people, those systems are based on AI that is biased towards, brown faces.
Not only AI, just classic, straight out cybersecurity. The teams, they keep doing the same things over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So and the world is catching up with us. So that ship has sailed a long time ago. The cybersecurity or the secure technology doesn't exist. That doesn't exist anymore. The gap is so huge that is. I don't want to depress people here, but it's almost, almost impossible to catch up.
Well,
right? And we keep doing the same things, right?
Yeah. I mean, it typically takes laws
and different results.
Yeah. And so without regulation, federal laws, state laws, nothing changes. And so when people say they don't like that, well, it's like, well, it's the only way it all changes. And so as Tanisha is saying, we need to hold people accountable, not to hiring only, because you know what? The statistics show that the retention is worse than the hiring of diversity, which says to me, and that's why I started talking about emotional intelligence skills 5 years ago, is because that's all about, we have to take on these cultures and how we interact with each other and what is the behavior of inclusion. Because I don't know many environments that have behaviors of inclusion, i.e. how we talk to each other, how power is applied. I mean,
there's many environments that they have a program that is supposed to be that, but
and it's not, because
actuality
is
something that is there for, in a cosmetic way.
Yeah.
I want to say something. I want to say something on that. So there's something called like you have a quota system and you are entitled for that. I think we want equality, and equality in a sense that we are all equal. There's nothing, no quota, nothing. You are here because you have a merit, and you are here because you deserve it. And I have seen, on the contrary, especially the organization that I'm working for, I've seen equality. There are programs where they promote that, yes, they give you a chance. First, you need to give them a chance that, yes, you deserve it, and you prove it. And it's all yours. It's your field to play around. And I think I'm so glad that I'm part of it and I can see. But I think more organizations should trigger that thing, rather than saying that, oh, we want to hire diverse candidate. We need to have these many recs to be filled for the diverse candidates. That's not a good way.
It's a catch-22, Vandana, because, and I see it all day long, because without the law, nothing happens. Nothing happens. I mean, it really doesn't. People, I mean, even this whole industry, I was in security before PCI started fining. Nobody cared about vulnerability management until PCI started fining, actually fining people. I mean, it's literally, that's what we work in. And so in Utopia, I hear you, and I'm going to fight for that. And at the end of the day, we have to have, regulation. And here's the mistake I see. Stop telling to all organizations, stop telling everybody that this job is for a woman only or equal opportunity job. And we're not going to stop, and don't interview men if you're not going to hire them, because you know what ends up happening? They find out. They find out that they didn't get the job because they're a man and it's slated for a woman. And then that adds all this yuckiness to this whole conversation. And it is what you're trying to avoid, Vandana, with what you're saying, because who wants to go to work knowing, oh, I was hired because I was a woman? At the same time, unless we have these laws, it doesn't happen because of what we talked about before, the subconscious mind. I'm going to end with this and let you all chime in. I see wonderful men wanting to hire women, and then they go through the interviewing process and they hire a man because they said they couldn't connect, or they didn't feel that they were that they were as passionate about security or whatever it was, and they're good men. They just didn't even, and they were trying to hire entry level and couldn't connect. So I think that this is about our brains, the subconscious mind. And if we don't have the laws, we're going to have problems. But the bottom line is we got to stand up for it every day, all of us, and be willing to take on whoever we need to take on to stop this.
I would also add,
we are getting all worked out here. So we are going to end, this panel, and we're going to start working like...
Yeah, we're going to go work really hard and keep solving it. Tanisha, what were you going to end with?
I was just going to say, when we talk about looking at and making people feel or comfortable, helping for retention, I watched a cute short my mentor introduced me to. It was by Pixar. It's called Pearl, and it's basically a yarn ball that goes into a company that's called Broco, right? And it shows the yarn has a female voice, but it talks about how she tries to assimilate into the culture to make herself feel comfortable. And it's really not until you see more yarn joining the organization that it starts to be a more comfortable situation for them. And I think just based on the nature of cybersecurity right now, that there's this definite bro culture, and there's so many men that as we get more women entering the industry, then it'll make people feel more comfortable, and then you'll have higher retention. So I think we need to also take a look at that, in considering retention once we get people into the industry.
So the main intrusion detection system that we work with at the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, which was made there, they changed the name now, but for a lot of years it was called Bro.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
From Big Brother, though, right? from 1984, but still,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I wish we had hours more. You ladies inspire me. We are going to solve these problems together. You have my commitment that secure diversity is going to make sure that we continue to show up for all of us and provide a platform, never mind help solve challenges that we're all facing. So I really appreciate all of you in Palo Alto for sponsoring this, and Sorry we missed you, Patty. We love you. You're such a supporter of diversity and inclusion yourself, of course. Ladies, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation. We're going to record, of course it's recorded, so we'll get it out to the world too. It was
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.